This is the story of how I fought for my children and my future. Half asleep, I heard the fertility clinic's cheerful voice. But I was in Afghanistan, 7,000 miles from home. The devastating truth hit like incoming fire. My mother's words cut deeper than any wound I had treated. If you are watching this story, please let me know where you are viewing from in the comments. Hit like and subscribe if you have ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted completely. Growing up in suburban Denver, Amanda and I shared a bedroom, but little else. When I made honor roll, she joined extra credit projects to boost her GPA higher. When I became varsity swim team captain, she became head cheerleader. Not because she enjoyed cheerleading, but because it garnered more attention at assemblies. Dad would ruffle Amanda's hair and say, "Always keeping your big sister on her toes, huh, kiddo?" Mom would beam with pride at having two ambitious girls. Despite this, I loved my sister. She refused to meet my eyes during the ceremony. My parents, both public school teachers, had modest savings for our education. Full medical school scholarship in exchange for service. My parents worried about war zone deployments, but I signed the papers at 22, feeling more certain than I had about anything before. Our courtship happened between surgeries and training exercises. David deployed to Iraq first. Enough for a basketball team with substitutes. When I turned 30, we began trying for a baby, but months passed without success. After a year, we sought fertility treatment. Tests revealed diminished ovarian reserve. The specialist recommended immediate IVF. Hormone injections between shifts, ultrasound appointments at dawn, the emotional roller coaster of hope and disappointment. The physical discomfort was nothing compared to the psychological weight. "They will wait for us," David said, squeezing my hand as we looked at the microscope image of our potential children. "When the time is right." No survivors. The military funeral, the folded flag, the hollow feeling as taps played, these memories blur together in my mind. In my grief, I chose to keep them frozen. Someday I would carry his children. My third deployment came last year to Afghanistan, Bagram Airfield, serving as a trauma surgeon for both military personnel and local civilians. Before leaving, I organized my affairs meticulously. She had settled down recently, marrying Brian, a real estate developer. Her previous hostility seemed to have mellowed into adult acceptance of our different paths. How catastrophically wrong I was to trust her. The clinic's congratulatory call left me disoriented. I requested a moment to gather myself, then called back, my hands shaking as I dialed. "This is Major Cassandra Walker. I received a message about a pregnancy. There must be some mistake. I am currently deployed overseas." Silence stretched across the line before the receptionist responded. "One moment, please, Dr. Walker. Let me transfer you to Dr. Patel." My mind raced through possibilities. A mistake in patient records, a cruel prank, or something worse. That is impossible. I never authorized anyone to access my embryos. His voice dropped lower. I was not personally present that day. Had I been, I might have questioned it, knowing your situation. "Which embryos?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "I am deeply sorry, Cassandra. We are launching an internal investigation immediately. The remaining embryos. Our last chance at the family we had planned." The room tilted around me. "Cass," she answered brightly. "How is Afghanistan? Are you safe?" A pause, then. "Oh, I was going to tell you, but I wanted to wait until I was past the first trimester." "Tell me what exactly?" "That you stole my embryos? That you violated my trust in the most profound way possible. They were not yours to take." I struggled to keep my voice down in the shared communications area. "I gave them life, Cassandra. Something you were not doing. You chose your career over having a family. David would have wanted his children to be born." "Well, his parents agree with me. They are thrilled to know his children will be born. They will be grandparents after all." That revelation hit like a physical blow. "You involved David's parents in this? They deserve to know their grandchildren. Unlike you, I am giving them that chance." She had not acted on impulse but had strategically orchestrated every aspect, accessing my medical records, convincing the clinic, even getting David's grieving parents on her side. The calculated cruelty left me speechless. "I thought you would be happy," she continued, her voice softening into mock concern. You are so busy saving lives over there. Now you do not have to worry about these embryos anymore. I am giving them the family you cannot provide right now." I ended the call before saying something I would regret. The violation was complete. That night's sleep evaded me entirely. But this theft dwarfed all others. The next morning, I requested an emergency meeting with Colonel Richardson, my commanding officer. The white walls of his office at Bagram seemed unnaturally bright as I explained my situation in clinical terms, failing to capture the emotional devastation. His expression conveyed sympathy, but practical concerns dominated. "Start the paperwork. I cannot promise anything, but I will support your request. In the meantime, I need you focus when you are in surgery. Can you do that, Major?" The lie came easily. Later that day, my mother called. The betrayal expanded, engulfing another family member. Those were my and David's embryos, our future children. Her words made everything clear. This was the ultimate extension of that pattern. She deserved motherhood more than you, my mother concluded. Stress reaction, the physician assistant concluded. How could I explain that my battlefield was not in Afghanistan, but 7,000 miles away in a suburban fertility clinic? Our wedding day, his parents crying with joy. The bittersweet IVF process, his unwavering support through my hormone treatments. His last deployment, the promises to start our family when he returned. The next day, performing surgery became an exercise in compartmentalization. Would they all survive? Would they look like David with his hazel eyes and dimpled smile? During a brief break, I connected with a military lawyer, Captain Dawson. His assessment was blunt. "Major Walker, this is an unprecedented situation. Reproductive law varies by state, and the power of attorney complicates matters. The fact that you are deployed adds another layer of complexity. Are you saying nothing can be done?" Amanda had used all 3 remaining viable embryos. The first 2 rounds of IVF had yielded 5, but 2 had been used in an unsuccessful transfer attempt before David's death. The 3 Amanda stole represented my last chance to have biological children with my late husband. Captain Dawson connected me with Jessica Abrams, a reproductive rights attorney in Denver. She used my power of attorney to access my medical files, I explained. "Good. That helps our case. I will begin preparing documentation immediately, but we need you here to sign complaints and appear at hearings." Fellow soldiers offered support but could not understand the unique torment I faced. "Family drama," one well-meaning nurse said. "We all have it. You will sort it out when you get home." 3 weeks of bureaucratic battles finally yielded results. I received 30 days of emergency leave and boarded a military transport to Germany, then a commercial flight to Denver. Denver's familiar skyline against the Rocky Mountains should have felt like coming home. Jessica met me at the airport, a tall woman with prematurely silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. In the morning, I dressed in my military uniform. "Is that appropriate for a family meeting?" Jessica had asked. "They need to remember who I am and what I have sacrificed," I replied. Amanda's house sat in a new development. 4 bedrooms, manicured lawn, the suburban dream home. Amanda appeared behind him, 11 weeks pregnant. The sight of her carrying my embryos, my and David's potential children, sent a surge of nausea through me. "You actually came back from deployment." Her tone suggested my military service was a casual commitment I could abandon on a whim. "Emergency family leave," I replied coldly. "Perhaps we should sit down and discuss this calmly." My children reduced to stolen property, decorative elements in Amanda's perfect home. "I gave these babies a chance at life while you were playing hero in a desert. The clinic was going to discard them eventually." "When? After another deployment? After you turned 40? These babies deserve a present, dedicated mother, not someone who prioritizes career over family." Her head whipped toward him. "Whose side are you on?" In her mind, there were sides to choose, moral equivalencies to weigh, rather than a clear case of theft. "Did you know what she was planning?" I asked Brian directly. "And you believed that without seeing any documentation?" "Cassandra," my father began, "surely there is a way to resolve this without courts and lawyers." "How exactly?" "She cannot unsteal my embryos." My mother bristled. "That was my decision to make. Mine and David's, no one else's." David would want his children to be born, my mother insisted, echoing Amanda's earlier claim. Brian sat in uncomfortable silence, occasionally glancing at me with what appeared to be guilt. Jessica, who had remained professionally silent throughout, finally spoke. As we left, I noticed neighbors watching from windows and porches. At Jessica's office, she outlined our strategy. And the embryos themselves? The potential children? Jessica's expression softened slightly. That is the most difficult aspect. Courts generally will not force termination of a pregnancy, even under these circumstances. Our goal is to establish your parental rights. Local army doctor claims sister stole frozen embryos, read one headline. Online comments were worse. How selfish to leave embryos frozen while serving multiple deployments, said another. Jessica advised me to avoid social media entirely. Public opinion is irrelevant to the legal case, she assured me, though we both knew judges were not immune to cultural narratives. Her church organized a prayer circle. In this atmosphere, we received notice that the judge had scheduled a preliminary hearing. We have a problem. Your mother provided notarized statements claiming you had verbally expressed willingness to let Amanda use the embryos. She claims you discussed this before your deployment. I believe so, but it complicates our case. Family testimony carries weight. Had I somehow contributed to this nightmare? Amanda entered with my parents flanking her protectively, her maternity dress emphasizing her pregnancy. I sat stiffly in my uniform, Jessica arranging documents beside me. Yes, the pregnancy was progressing normally with triplets. The court must balance property rights, bodily autonomy, and the potential interests of the unborn children. The preliminary ruling devastated me. While acknowledging the questionable means by which Amanda accessed the embryos, Judge Haram declined to take any action that might endanger the pregnancy. Outside the courthouse, reporters thrust microphones toward me. How can you parent these children while deployed? Jessica hustled me to her car, shielding me from the barrage. This is only round one, she assured me. Preliminary hearings favor the status quo. We have much stronger arguments for the full hearing. That evening, alone in my hotel room, I contemplated resigning my commission. The structure and purpose that had sustained me after David's death now felt like the very thing that had cost me his legacy. As I considered this drastic step, my phone rang. Cassandra, it is Brian, Amanda's husband. Can we meet? When I arrived, he sat hunched in a corner booth, eyes darting nervously to the door. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I cannot stay long. Amanda thinks I am at a work meeting. His furtiveness spoke volumes about the household dynamics. Because this was not spontaneous. Amanda has been planning this for over a year. Inquiries about access protocols, questions about power of attorney limitations, research on embryo transfer success rates. She created a separate email account for this research, Brian explained. I found it when using her laptop last week. There is more. She has a journal where she detailed everything. Why are you showing me this now? You sat beside her in court yesterday. The plan evolved over months, becoming more concrete, more calculated. She said you had verbally agreed but wanted to wait until after deployment to formalize arrangements. Seemed plausible. Why would I question my wife about something so important? But you must have suspected something when she used my power of attorney without me present. He nodded miserably. Practice sheets. Why? Tell me now. Brian stared into his untouched coffee. Will you testify? Make a statement to the police about the forgery. His fear was palpable. As Brian left, his shoulders hunched with the burden of complicity, I realized I was dealing with something far beyond sibling rivalry. Amanda's obsession had morphed into something pathological, supported by my parents' enabling and Brian's passive acceptance. Jessica was cautiously optimistic when I showed her the evidence. The criminal investigation accelerated. Detectives interviewed clinic staff and collected signature samples. The fertility clinic, facing potential liability, provided complete records showing exactly how Amanda had manipulated their protocols. Meanwhile, I reached out to David's parents, Arthur and Eleanor Hamilton, who had been told by Amanda that I had willingly donated the embryos. Eleanor's eyes kept drifting to my uniform. Amanda told us you had decided your military career made motherhood impossible, Arthur said. That was never true, I replied softly. Those embryos were all I had left of David and our dream. I never consented to anyone using them. I showed them the evidence of Amanda's deception. Eleanor began to cry. We just wanted to see our son live on through his children. Amanda seemed so sincere. By the end of our conversation, the Hamiltons had shifted from confusion to outrage on my behalf. David would be appalled by this manipulation. Judge Haram's expression was stern as she reviewed the new evidence. The court takes very seriously these allegations of forgery and intentional deception, she stated. This case now encompasses criminal fraud in addition to the complex issues of reproductive rights. Amanda appeared less confident this time, her hand constantly rubbing her now visibly pregnant belly as if to remind everyone of the lives developing within. Brian was conspicuously absent. Jessica read excerpts aloud. March 15th. Researched power of attorney limitations. Medical POA should be sufficient to access the embryos if I present myself properly. June 8th. Practice Cassandra's signature again. Getting closer to the real thing. Need more exemplars. September 3rd. Clinic appointment tomorrow. Have all documents prepared with Cassandra's signature. Will wear medical scrubs to create an impression of medical authority. Amanda's face drained of color as her meticulous planning was exposed. Her attorney attempted to object on privacy grounds, but Judge Haram overruled him. When Amanda took the stand, her previous victim narrative crumbled under questioning. Not in those exact words, but, "Yes or no, please." No, but she would have wanted. Yes. Did you tell your brother-in-law and your parents that Major Walker had given verbal consent when she had not? Her outburst seemed to confirm every allegation. Judge Haram called a recess, during which Amanda's attorney approached Jessica about a potential settlement. Absolutely not, I insisted when Jessica relayed the offer. The court finds compelling evidence of fraud, forgery, and reproductive theft. While the court cannot and will not take any action that endangers the ongoing pregnancy, it recognizes Major Walker's full parental rights to the children resulting from her stolen genetic material. Amanda began sobbing, my mother rushing to console her. But this time I had a prepared statement. This case was never about preventing these children from being born. It was about addressing a profound violation of trust and reproductive autonomy. These children are legally mine, created from embryos my late husband and I produced together. I look forward to welcoming them into the world and honoring their father's memory. As cameras flashed, I caught sight of Amanda being hustled to a car by my parents, her face contorted with rage and despair. The victory felt hollow against the backdrop of a shattered family. The court ruling marked a turning point, but the battle was far from over. With only days remaining on my emergency leave, I faced impossible logistics. Jessica helped me petition the Army for extended leave based on the extraordinary circumstances. You have unique grounds, she assured me. The district attorney, impressed by the evidence, charged her with identity theft, forgery, and fraud. Meanwhile, Amanda refused all contact, communicating only through lawyers. My parents maintained their support of her, my mother sending a scathing email. David's parents became my unexpected support system. Eleanor accompanied me to meetings with social workers and family court mediators. He always admired your strength. The decision came with implications for my career advancement, but some priorities had shifted irrevocably. Would I be present for the birth? Would she comply with proper prenatal care? How would the children transition to my custody? A court-appointed mediator established protocols, though Amanda's compliance remained questionable. These were not just embryos or legal abstractions, and bed rest may become necessary in the third trimester. She missed appointments, claimed to be taking vitamins she later admitted to skipping, and resisted the prescribed bed rest. The family court judge intervened, warning that her actions could be construed as endangering the welfare of the children. These medical recommendations are not optional, Mrs. Jackson. Failure to comply could result in additional legal consequences. Only then did Amanda grudgingly follow the prenatal care plan. Brian, increasingly disillusioned with his wife's behavior, began contacting me directly about appointment details and medical updates. The therapist recommended intensive treatment and expressed concern about potential postpartum complications. The logistics were daunting. Multiple cribs, a rotating schedule of night nurses for the first months, childcare arrangements for when my leave ended. David's parents offered to move in temporarily after the birth. My commanding officer at Fort Carson proved unexpectedly supportive, arranging a flexible schedule that would accommodate the unique demands of my situation. Through all these preparations, the absence of my parents and the hostility from Amanda cast a shadow over what should have been a joyful time. My father called once, his voice hesitant. "Your mother does not know I am calling. She is struggling with all this. But I wanted to say that I would like to know my grandsons when things settle down." "I would like that too, Dad." As the scheduled C-section date approached, the court finalized the hospital protocol. I would be present in the delivery room. Amanda would have no obligation for breastfeeding or physical contact with the infants. "We could not stay away," he explained simply. Medical staff whisked them to the NICU for standard monitoring of triplets, while Amanda was taken to recovery. In the NICU, I met my sons properly. Michael Robert, after David's brother who had died in childhood. Nurses taught me to feed them, change them, and hold their delicate bodies correctly. My mother went with her. My father stayed tentatively, holding his grandsons and taking photos to share with my mother, when she is ready. The day we brought the boys home from the hospital, Arthur and Eleanor Hamilton were waiting at the house with a home-cooked meal and 3 handmade blankets. The support network I had built in the absence of my immediate family proved stronger than I could have imagined. The first months with triplets passed in a blur of feedings, diaper changes, and minimal sleep. The night nurses proved essential, as did the rotating volunteers who helped during the days. Amanda maintained her distance, communicating only through required legal channels. My mother's resistance softened the first time she held all 3 boys together. "I was wrong, Cassandra. So terribly wrong." Her apology came later, halting and imperfect but sincere. "I always tried to make things equal between you girls, but in doing so, I enabled behaviors that should have been addressed long ago. I failed both of you." Rebuilding trust would take years, but that acknowledgement marked the beginning. My father proved more adaptable, becoming a hands-on grandfather who delighted in the chaos of triplets. The military, often criticized for inflexibility, had demonstrated remarkable accommodation for my unprecedented situation. Brian filed for divorce from Amanda, unable to reconcile with her actions and subsequent refusal to acknowledge wrongdoing. During the proceedings, he provided a formal statement for my records documenting Amanda's deception and his unwitting role in it. Amanda herself remained the one unmovable piece in the healing process. Court-ordered family therapy sessions devolved into accusations and recriminations. Her perspective remained unchanged. She had given life to embryos that might otherwise have remained frozen indefinitely. The therapist explained, "Your sister has constructed a narrative where she is the hero, not the villain. Dismantling that narrative threatens her entire sense of self." Eventually, I stopped expecting reconciliation and focused instead on establishing appropriate boundaries. The boys would know their biological connection to Amanda when they were old enough to understand, but she would have no special access or authority in their lives. Arthur and Eleanor moved to Colorado to be near their grandsons, bringing stories and mementos of the father the boys would know only through others' memories. Former colleagues of David sought me out, sharing anecdotes I had never heard, filling in pieces of him that might otherwise have been lost. The legal aftermath continued for years. Amanda completed her probation but faced civil lawsuits from the fertility clinic for damages to their reputation. The case established precedents in reproductive law. James, Thomas, and Michael are now thriving teenagers, each with his own distinct personality, yet all sharing their father's kind heart and my determination. Our home is loud, chaotic, and filled with the kind of love that's been tested and proven true. My career at Walter Reed has flourished. I not only heal soldiers but also mentor them, sharing my story to advocate for better support systems for military families facing unimaginable challenges. Amanda and I have no relationship, a painful but necessary boundary for my peace and my son's well-being. Looking at my 3 incredible sons, I see the legacy of a love that was strong enough to overcome death, distance, and the deepest betrayal. They are not just a blessing that came from a nightmare. They are the beautiful, triumphant outcome of a battle I was never meant to fight, but one I am eternally grateful I won. If you have experienced family betrayal or fought for something that was rightfully yours, please share your story in the comments below. Did you eventually find healing? Or are you still on that journey? Thank you for listening to my journey from betrayal to blessing. Remember that sometimes our greatest challenges lead us to unexpected gifts we never could have imagined.